After playing my Pico every day this year and now spending a good amount of alone time with the Quest 3, I feel I can confidently answer the question, which headset is best? And if you already own a Pico, should you upgrade?
Yeah, I reckon.
Now, I'm going to start with the most important reason, which is the game and app library. Pico obviously launched in a bad way, and despite them catching up to almost 75% of the Quest library, there are still some glaring issues. For one, AAA titles are now coming out as Quest-only games. Fitness, learning, and self-improvement games are all getting massively upgraded with the Quest 3 AR support, whereas the Pico and Steam versions are not. The Quest, in my opinion, still has the best exclusive library. Golf Plus alone is probably enough for me to stay in the Quest ecosystem. Some of the Pico versions of fitness games that I play a lot, like Creed for example, still don't have multiplayer. It said PvP is coming soon for almost a year now. And of course there's troubling news of layoffs and Pico shutting down their Beat Saber killer project, which puts even more uncertainty into investing into a Pico library. And then finally the app lab. Recently I got interested in VR yoga, searching the Pico store comes up with nothing. Steam has a couple of titles that are still in early access from 2018 and straight up just don't work anymore, but the app lab has so many options of developers trying new things with hand tracking and pass-through where you can go and test out and give feedback on. And for a lot of people this would be reason enough, but there's actually quite a bit more, so stick around to the end. Now in terms of specs, the Quest 3 is quite clearly the winner, although it's not really a fair comparison. Pico's a lot cheaper and a year older, but the three big takeaways is they both have pancake lenses, so if you're coming from a Quest 2, both will look dramatically better, and in terms of side-by-side, I honestly couldn't really tell the difference, but the Quest 3 does have the Gen 2 chipset, which claims double the GPU processing power, which is going to be massive for those standalone AAA titles. And then finally, the depth sensor and full color pass-through for mixed reality is a game changer. And this brings me to my next point, which is mixed reality. And you can't really talk about the Quest 3 without the mixed reality support. It's very clearly a crowd pleaser, and some of the experiences now are just remarkable. So really intense 1v1 boxing or sword fighting games feel so much safer in MR. I'm sure we've all seen the videos of people connecting a full swing with their TV, the wall, or a member of their family, and while that does make an amusing video, the reality is that can cause a lot of financial or physical damage. And then there's amazing things like learning the piano, and what a cool way to gamify learning an instrument. It's so much better than trying to teach yourself by watching YouTube videos, for example. So while the Pico does have decent color pass-through, it is a lot more warped than the Quest 3 and just does not have the same level of game and app support. And without going on and on, there are some other things like hand tracking is just much better on the Quest 3. There's bigger multiplayer lobbies, especially for games that don't have crossplay. There's way more third-party accessories made for the Quest line, and then also games are cheaper just because they have that refer a friend discount code. So when the Pico store launched, there was a bit of a meme that the only app you really ever needed was virtual desktop, and honestly I kind of agreed. The Pico was one of the best ways to get affordable wireless PCVR gaming up and running. I had my PC plugged in via Ethernet and the router was about 10 meters away in the other room, but I've always had really good performance even when playing and recording mixed reality rhythm games where you want the latency to be as low as possible. Now Pico did have their own streaming assistant, but it just wasn't as good and I never went back. But with the Quest 3 you also get access to the paid virtual desktop, but they also have their own Airlink, which is pretty darn good too. But they also support Wi-Fi 6E routers on the 6 GHz bands. So there's a bit of future proofing there. Once again, another point to the Quest. In terms of comfort, at least for me with my big bird nose, both are good but not great. You're going to get those red marks all over your face, especially after a workout. Out of the box, the Pico is a bit more balanced because of the battery pack on the back, but the Quest feels a bit softer. I'm sure the Elite strap will fix that. So far it's been pretty one-sided, so let's talk about a couple of reasons not to upgrade. The Quest 3 does absolutely eat your battery compared to the Pico. Now normally I can rock the Pico at least for a couple of hours, but with my Quest I'm lucky if I get over an hour, and that's probably because I'm doing much more demanding things with MR. But by far the biggest obstacle is the price, and I've just been laid off so this one stings quite a bit. In Singapore, the 128GB Pico is around $500, while the Quest is almost $800 delivered, and if I wanted to go through a local reseller this can be well over $1,000. Also, because I'm in a non-supported area, if this thing breaks, then it's going to be a pain in the butt to get back to the US and get it fixed. But ultimately, I was happy to take on that risk and also fork out the $800 because of how important getting access to these mixed reality-driven fitness and learning games is, and then also from a content creation perspective as well. But if that wasn't super important to you, maybe you're just really using it for Steam VR gaming, then I can definitely see a strong argument that you might skip the Quest 3 and wait for the next generation of Steam or PCVR VR gaming headset. Then I'll also add that the Pico community team were actually always really super responsive on Facebook Messenger. They even organized an event which was basically the VR Olympics, where I ended up representing Singapore in VR boxing, which was really cool. And I hope to see Pico fight back and release some cool things in the future. So they're going to turn their focus more towards hardware now, and who knows, maybe in a few years these will be rocking the SteamOS operating system. But anyway, there it is. That's the reason I made the switch, and if this helped, I appreciate a sneaky sub button, and if you want to see that video where I competed in the VR Asian Games, then that's right there.